It's indeed a privilege to be here with Mr. Subramanian, the Chairman of the Organizing Committee for Wind Power India. Can you please tell us a little bit about Wind Power India 2012 and your vision as the Chairman of the Organizing Committee?
See, Wind Power India is organized every 2 years. We call it a biannual event. Secondly, it is very different from the events that are put together in various parts of the country and abroad. Because this is one of the very few conferences that's being organized by the industry itself and not just by an event manager or conference organizer. So as a result, you have a large number of people who have a stake in the wind industry, manufacturers, component makers, investors, the policy makers, the regulators. We all get together and discuss the way forward for Wind Power India. This year we expect it to be much bigger and better than previous years, mainly because we have crossed 18,000 megawatts, and with the vision of the National Action Plan for Climate Change, where we are talking about 15% renewable power in 2020. We have to really strategize and get all people involved to take wind power forward. We expect more of support, enthusiasm and interest among the participants.
You have been extensively involved in a number of initiatives in the wind industry and the broader renewable energy sector in India in various capacities, including that of Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Your observations on the growth of the sector and wind energy in particular, sir?
You see, renewable started sometime in the 80s when the ministry got set up. But unfortunately, adequate importance was not being given. The only sector that grew in terms of capacity and generation initially was wind. It started in a small way, but was making progress. Unfortunately, progress was not as fast as one would expect it to be. And one of the things that has happened in wind is the manufacturers doubling up as developers and increasing the capacity of wind in India. And in the period, 11th plan period, we introduced various other new initiatives, as a result of which there was a quantum jump in the installation of windmills. And at the same time, the state governments also realized the importance of wind power to supplement their conventional power, and had suitable systems in place to evacuate wind power. And 2003 Electricity Act also facilitated the growth of renewable power as a whole. Now, of course, we are laying equal emphasis on solar and other forms of renewable. But wind having got an advantage over all others, we expect it to progress much faster. Probably in terms of percentage, the growth may appear to be slightly lower because they will be starting with a larger base. But the growth of wind sector is something that is ensured, at least for the 12th plan, 13th plan.
Could you tell us from your experience on what has contributed to the tremendous success of the wind sector with the entire investment coming in from the private sector?
This is an issue on which everybody is left wondering. You see, there is no other form of energy or infrastructure sector which has been funded entirely by private sector. All that the government has done in this particular sector is having the right policies in place so as to leverage large amount of investment from private sector. What they did was a fiscal measure known as accelerated depreciation, followed by a generation-based incentive. And the utilities also began purchasing wind power from the wind companies, partly towards fulfilling their renewable portfolio obligations and partly to supplement their own purchase of energy. The role of the government in this has been one of a policy maker, enabler and facilitator. But for this, wind wouldn't have grown, and there has not been a huge investment from the government We don't have a separate public sector corporation like NTPC in the wind sector. I mean, this shows that the private sector can contribute towards capacity growth with the right policies and incentives.
A number of global manufacturers have established large manufacturing facilities in India. What do you see as the biggest reason for this?
This is yet another example of the investment flowing to a country which has the right kind of policies. With the government having supported growth of the wind energy generation, the manufacturers, not only from India but also abroad, they saw this as a good opportunity to invest and make a good business out of it. And as I said earlier, the manufacturers earlier had doubled up as developers. Now they see a good opportunity to sell wind machines based on technology, the capacity utilization factor, cost, and in helping the investors to look at the right size sites where you have the wind speeds to have the generation facility.
What are the most critical elements and requirements for the large scale-up that is being planned in the wind energy sector over the next 5 years in India?
Unfortunately, in India, we have the issue of environment being discussed separately and renewable energy being discussed separately. That growth of renewable energy contributes towards mitigating the effects of climate change. That has not been brought out into focus. I mean, this is a clean energy everybody admits. The consumers also would like to support. But at the same time, as consumers of power, they do not want to pay very high rates. But at the same time, whether we like it or not, wind power is slightly costlier than the present coal-based power. But if the subsidies are removed for coal thermal power and other forms of power, probably wind power will get to be at par with the power that is supplied to the grid by the coal thermal power stations. The second issue is how far would the government realize the importance of renewable energy in the overall context of climate change is yet another issue. I mean, that we keep talking about. I keep arguing that instead of deciding to talk about reduction of pollution in terms of CO2, you better talk about generation of renewable power. That being increased. After all, we calculate CO2 emissions being reduced with the projected dangerous levels of pollution. But here you can measure in positive terms how much of renewable energy is generated and supplied, thus obviating the need for other polluting forms of energy.
As the wind energy market leads the global growth, what kind of platform does Wind Power India 2012 provide? And what do you see as opportunities and challenges for India to truly become a wind superpower?
We work in a different context in India. Wind Power India will provide an excellent platform for various people, even those who have not looked at India so far, to come in and look closely at the market. Because we have various states in the country who haven't set up as much of capacity as wind potential would permit. One of the things that we want to do is to articulate the need for the right kind of policies, regulation, tariff, grid connectivity, and as well as enforcement of RPOs in all these states. At least the new investors who are coming in would come to realize that here exists a positive atmosphere of wind power where they can invest and earn decent profits. The second is it also provides a platform for manufacturers and component makers to tie up with each other. The level of indigenization in the wind manufacturing sector in India, though it has increased, there are still some components which are being imported. This will also give an opportunity with the new manufacturers coming, whether there will be a new set of component makers who will become original equipment suppliers for wind manufacturing industry. So investors are the most important segment. Everybody keeps hearing about India. They don't gain much by attending various events. But this is one platform where they can get together, understand, interact with people who would be coming from the industry as well as the government and get to know the future of wind protection in India.
Every stakeholder involved will be present and present in a common platform so that anybody from outside India that wants to look at this industry gets a 360-degree view of the sector. So would that be a fair assessment from what I understand?
This was precisely the intention of having a 360-degree appreciation of the wind energy sector in India. I think it should be possible to get all the people together. One of the things they have to do, those who come to attend the conference, is to attend almost all the sessions and interact with all the people possible, so that they get a very clear and transparent idea of wind energy, what wind energy is all about in India and how they need to go about it.
Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you, sir,
Thank you.
and great luck with Wind Power 2010, and we expect it to be a very interactive.
Thank you very much.